I'm Julie with Annie's Heirloom Seeds, and welcome to At Home at Annie's. We got a question this week about microgreens, and I was already thinking it was time to run another microgreens experiment. So that's what we're going to do today. Now, what exactly is a microgreen? Microgreens are baby greens. They're really any plant that we eat just after the leaves form. They're about 2 weeks old. Now, a lot of different vegetables taste really good at that stage. Vegetables you wouldn't otherwise think of eating the stalk and the plant and the leaves. So I put together a couple mixes of things that I thought might be really good to try. And what we're going to do is we're going to plant them up. And then in a couple weeks, we'll be able to test them all and see what we like the most. Some things have some spicy flavors, others are just really mild. And it really depends on what we like. Now, we did this experiment about 5 years ago, and we came up with a mix that we really liked. But I'm thinking maybe my taste buds changed. Maybe we need a little bit more variety. So we should run it again. The first step to growing microgreens is to find the right tray. Now, you're going to want to grow them in a tray instead of in pots. Pots are usually pretty deep. Trays are really shallow. When you plant microgreens, you're not going to be keeping them around for very long, and they're not going to send down a lot of roots, so they don't need a lot of space underneath them. You're only looking for a ½ inch to an inch of soil. I'm going to be using these little trays that I found that have holes in the bottom. Then I'm going to fill them with about a ½ inch to an inch of dirt, and then we'll be able to plant our microgreens in them. Then we can take the trays with the holes in the bottom and set them in a larger tray that doesn't have holes in the bottom. We can fill the larger tray with water, and then we'll be able to bottom water. The soil will wick the water up into it, and it'll keep your seedlings wet without having to water them from the top. If you water them from the top, the seedlings are going to be really delicate, and they're probably going to fall over, and you might not have as beautiful of microgreens to harvest. Our first step is going to be filling our trays with soil. We're going to fill them with a ½ inch to an inch of soil. I like to use my coconut coir seed mix. It really absorbs the water nicely and it grows things very beautifully. And now we have to plant our seeds. We're going to just gently sprinkle them on the surface. They can be somewhat dense because the seedlings are going to be really small when we harvest them, so they can handle being close together. Now, you're not really going to want to bury your seeds. You're going to want to gently cover them, maybe just brush your finger across the surface. The only seeds that are going to need to go in the soil at all are going to be your Swiss chard and your radishes, the things that are a little larger. After we have the seeds in our little trays, it's time to put the trays in the larger tray. I like to put it on a heat mat or in a warm place and make sure it has some light, either a grow light or for me in the greenhouse. And then you're going to want to fill it with water, cover it with a humidity dome, and now it's time to just sit back and watch and wait for our greens to come up. So I thought I'd do a little update on our turnip experiment. We had some really cold days after we planted the turnips, and I was afraid that they weren't going to come up. But we had little seedlings up, at least in the bed that Orion didn't use as a litter box. So now I'm excited to see what comes up and to see if they grow really nicely. Thank you for joining us on this week's At Home at Annie's.